Internet's been a little shitty lately because we just got hit with like a
Yeah.
massive snowstorm.
Oh. Oh yeah. You
Um,
guys got the blizzard and shit, didn't
yeah,
you? Whoops.
yeah. So it's funny. The superintendent I worked for originally called a 2 hour delay, and then an hour till school starts, he finally canceled.
Dumbass. Wow.
Well, I think he realized when about 40 or 50 teachers said they weren't showing up to school.
Yeah.
I wasn't going in.
Yeah. Now, did you hit go live or did you hit record? Because it says live on my screen.
It says live when it's recording, but I don't
Oh,
have
okay.
any destinations connected.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
Okay.
It what StreamYard does. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I think
I've
it
never
may be just to tell
recorded
you
on
the time.
StreamYard. Okay. I never
I
recorded
didn't.
on StreamYard before, so I don't know.
I didn't know you could do it until like an hour before the first
Oh
live
yeah.
interview recording. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
It's been like
snazzy.
that since it's been like that since the jump. They just added the separate tracks, which is really cool for StreamYard. So yeah, they're up in their game.
It's appreciated.
Yeah.
All
Hell
right.
yeah. All right, let's go. Let's do it. Go.
Question number 1.
Yes.
Where are you from, and how did that affect your work?
I am from Maryland in the United States. And honestly, I don't think my location really affected my work at all. I mean, Maryland is like that kind of perfect place where we don't really have like an accent as much as most of the East Coast does, or most of the US. It's very vanilla here. But it's amazing, don't get me wrong, but in terms of like background, culture, influences, it's very vanilla. So I don't think it did have an impact on my background and work and all that. So yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that sometimes.
Yeah. I think there are other outside influences, but in terms of location and stuff, I don't think that it really had much to do with it. So
What about heritage? Tell us about how like keyboard affected your art upbringing.
Keebler, yeah. Well, we make cookies. They were better in the past. We've had to, kind of strip back the process, so they've gotten, lower in quality. But we've also expanded our distribution to your local convenience stores and bodega. So there's a plus. No, but like my heritage is like Irish, English, that type of thing. I'm a mutt more than anything. So the Irish in me, you kind of have that. I don't know, that kind of hard edged, like take no shit type of spirit, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily
The
say
fighting
warrior. Yeah. I don't want to necessarily say warrior spirit because that's very fucking cliche, but kind of similar to that. Yeah, I mean, I fight for what I want and usually get it, you know. So yeah, I don't have a problem mixing it up, when I feel that it's necessary and right. So yeah,
solid.
I try.
Fun fact: I took a DNA test, and while I was not only that bitch, I also found out I was 15% Spanish. So I texted Julio, and I'm like, "Julio, get what?" I'm like, "I'm Spanish now." I'm like, "No, you fucking not."
And Julio's like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
He's like, you're making, you're a colonizer.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically the Spaniards were too, so he doesn't have any fucking room to talk.
No one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Right? Shit.
All right.
That's what he's got.
Number
Anyway.
2.
Go.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Tell me about your favorite medium.
Plastic. That's easy.
Plastic?
Yeah, no, plastic is great. Plastic allows for a lot of different things, you know? Especially when it comes pre-molded for you, right?
Yeah.
No, but like plastic is a great medium because it's similar to wood but on a smaller scale, and way more stable than wood. I mean, I follow a lot of woodworkers and hobbyists and stuff like that, and it's very interesting, and I've always been into that side of things. But you know, plastic translates to a smaller scale, in much the same way that, you know, working with wood or some other material like that does. You know, it can be molded, it can be cut, it can be sanded, painted, you know, all of that. Plastic is really, really good. And the beauty part of that is that it can not only be a subtractive medium, but it can be an additive medium.
Yes, plate.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you can cut pieces of plastic off, but you can glue it back on if it doesn't work, right? So I mean, that's another beauty part of plastic, right? And you know, you can glue other stuff to it that aren't plastic. Hang on one second. Sorry, my daughter texted me here. Hang on.
That's fine.
She's out to dinner with her mom right now, so that's fun.
Oh,
anywho,
nice.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, plastic is, you know, kind of an all-encompassing medium, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can heat it, you know, you can bend it, shape it, all that stuff. You can, like I said, glue other materials to it and create something brand new, you know. Which is it's a really cool material to work in. So yeah, plastic is my material of choice.
I feel it. Just a second, Tim.
Yeah, take your time.
Alrighty.
All good?
All good.
Cool.
All right. We finished that one.
Yes.
Question 3. What tools are crucial to you?
Ooh, to me?
To
me, and not just the hobby, I'd say the Chopper by Northwest Short Line, specifically the Chopper 2. It's an amazing tool, and it definitely changed the way that I build. And you know, for anybody that doesn't know what the Chopper 2 is, it's this amazing cast aluminum piece of equipment. It's almost like a miter saw for small scale plastic. It's got a hinged arm with a razor blade in it. It's at a nice right angle. You can pop different angled guides to it and make angled cuts. You can make repeatable cuts. It's great. As soon as I got it, changed the way that I worked with plastic and everything. You can cut strips, you can cut angles, bevels, all sorts of stuff with it, and even like scribing tape you can cut with it, which is great. So getting those little nice beveled corners on, scribes and stuff like that, you can do that. Sky's the limit almost with it. So that's definitely a tool that is crucial to me and my process. Another one would be, to me, a quick type epoxy putty.
Yeah.
That stuff is worth its weight in gold. Especially if you're customizing and reshaping forms or building new forms and all that. If you have, a chamfer or something like that you need to get just perfect, and you don't want to necessarily cut plastic to do it, just smash that into a corner and, trim it off to the two corresponding points. If you're trying to make curves or something like that, or something, in an organic shape, that's the way to go. You've got a tremendous amount of working time at, about 8 hours or so. It's sticky, so it'll adhere to whatever surface that you're applying it to really well. But with a little water on your fingers, it won't stick to you, which is great. And then likewise, you can smooth it out with water. You can cut it, drill it, the whole nine once it's cured. Hell, I almost got it to a mirror finish in testing one time, and I think I did it on a stream. Can't remember exactly, but I just wanted to see the limits of it, and I was just like, all right, so I've got this 3000 grit wet sandpaper here. Let's see what we can do with this. And we got that thing almost to a high gloss finish just with sanding. It was awesome, actually. It was kind of a waste of time, but just to see where the upper limits are, it was a fun experiment, right?
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So those two definitely. Hobby knife is an easy one. Ooh, you know what? It's a really good one. The Wave miniature T-square. That thing I pick up pretty much every time I sit down to the bench. Just for measuring, getting right angles, cutting plastic, all that stuff. That is a great tool to have. There's two sizes. There's a small one, and then there's the slightly bigger one. I of course have both, but the smaller one is the one that I usually grab for 9 times out of 10. So, but those are crucial tools that I couldn't do without.
I'm a little surprised that you left out the scribing jigs.
They're important, but they're not. I wouldn't necessarily say they're crucial. Because you figure I can do the same thing in different ways, but those other tools, you can't exactly do the same thing in those perfect ways. I can take a piece of scribing tape, measure on a piece, and then plop it down and get the same exact line that I do with a scribing jig, but I can't make a perfectly repeatable cut like I can on, say, the chopper, and I can't get nicely rounded curves on a piece like I could with epoxy putty, right? To me, is quick type. So the scribing jigs, while very, very important, I wouldn't necessarily say that they were crucial. You know what I mean? So, but
that's
they're
solid.
don't get me wrong. They're very high up there. They're very high up there.
Yeah, I was honestly was looking over that question. I'm like, Tim's probably gonna say something along with chopper or prescribing jigs.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I love a
scribing jigs
little
are.
chopper.
Yeah, the chopper's awesome.
I saw they had one at Granicon.
Yeah.
2021. I didn't grab it because I grabbed the paint blender.
Okay.
But like looking back at it, I should have grabbed the chopper because I'm not a big fan of this paint blender.
How much did they want for the chopper?
90, 100.
Oh shit, that's a lot of money. I mean, I know Northwest Shortline kind of went through ownership changes, and they went, their production paused for a little bit, but god damn, $90 to $100. That's
that was kind of the theme of the combo. Things are either really cheap or way too expensive.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
But back cons for you though.
Yeah. Yeah, people trying to get their money, I guess.
I went to our Comic-Con, also known as Granicon.
Yeah.
Because they're Granicon IPMS and members Granicon Comic-Con.
Oh, okay.
So I went to our Comic-Con and somebody was asking $50 for like the HG Gundam Moon, and I'm like, no.
Sorry.
Luckily,
no.
I came back toward the end of the day, and they're like, "We'll take $25 for it." And I'm like, well, that's much better.
Nice.
Because ain't no way somebody's paying $50.
See, that's Mikkel's signature move. Like, he'll start talking to people during a convention and, or an IPMS show and everything like that. He'll start talking to them, but then he'll come back at the end of the day when they don't want to haul their shit back, and he'll be like, yo, I'll give you half price for it. And they'll, yeah, all right, here you go.
I got a UFO kit that was originally like $15 for like $8 toward the end of it because the guy just didn't want to carry it out.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have a unicorn to work on, I could have snagged another PG unicorn for like $1.25.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, I could, but I got one that I gotta finish. It still needs to be finished.
That's funny.
But like,
oh my god,
I've channeled him so many times during cons. It's not even.
Yeah.
Just like a beacon of like.
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Listen. Yeah.
Where do you find inspiration?
In a lot of different places. One of my favorite is like concept artists. That is like my go-to. That's kind of where I got the inspiration for both the Ozymandias and Airdrop, right?
Yeah.
I love just scrolling through ArtStation, the website, and just looking at different concept designs and things like that. Pinterest is another one, obviously, but not to the same scale as ArtStation. Excuse me. ArtStation is like the place for professional concept artists and stuff like that to post their work and get jobs and sell materials and assets and stuff like that. But I love, just perusing through there. And like I said, I found the inspiration for Ozymandias and Airdrop on there. Like I was looking through because I knew I wanted to, when I was building the Ozzy, I knew I wanted to kind of create my own design, but not stray from the formula, for a Xeon suit too much. So I found these great medieval kind of fantasy armor designs by Johnson Ting. And this one just had this helmet. It was kind of in the shape of an owl. and with the beak coming down across the face and everything, very, very close to what the end product of the Ozymandias turned out to be.
Yeah.
And I kind of shaped that around that armor, which was a great reference. And then looking at the concept for airdrop, I actually saw an image on Instagram and flip by it on the explore page or whatever, but then saw it again on ArtStation, and I'm like, yo, that's pretty cool. And then I'm thinking, I'm kind of midway through working on airdrop, and I'm like, what if I put parachutes on this thing, like in this image? And
parachutes on a robot.
Yeah, right. I mean, the rest, as they say, is history. But no, ArtStation is massive. That's probably my go-to number one. Pinterest to a lesser extent, and then just I look at what the rest of the community does too. Other builders, other artists, and things, and just kind of cherry pick little pieces from them if I think that it's cool, or if I think I can incorporate and spin it in my own way. I do that too.
When are we getting a ChildofMecha Haro, Tim? ChildofMecha Haro. We need scribed. We need a decal.
Yeah. Well, the Haro and then the Apex, I think, are two that I eventually have to do at some point, right? So, yeah, expect those sometime soon in the future-ish.
The Apex looks fun. I love that little guy.
I know, right? That does look a lot of fun. Like, what Colony Drop did to his, like, was kind of on the same line that I would want to do to one. So, but I would definitely remix that idea and make it my own. But he had a very, very similar direction to what I had kind of imagined when I first saw Apex. So, yeah, when I saw his, I was just like, oh, nice. So, cheers to him.
Oh, yeah. I fucking love those little things. I gotta get another Apex sooner or later.
Yeah. I gotta get one. I don't have any.
I think I ran the markets on Haros because I can't find any more and nobody has them on sale.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'm just telling you, band. I just need to send me a whole pallet full. I'll be satisfied for next month.
Yeah, right. The Haro hoarder over here. Luckily, I think I have one or two in the backlog, so we'll see.
Believe it or not as many as I used to have.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm down to like 15 now.
Oh, wow. You scaled back, huh?
I just sent out the big boy, the big 1-to-1 scale.
Yeah.
The first one.
Nice.
So he is on his way to actually Maryland, in fact.
Oh, really? Where?
But just not you. Just not you.
No.
I don't know. Begin with a K. Begin with a K.
Oh. Okay. Fair enough. Kensington?
I think so.
Yeah. That's the only town, city, or whatever I can imagine in Maryland that begins with a K. I don't know.
I don't know too much about Maryland. I know there's crabs in Maryland, but that's about it.
Multiple kinds too. Oh.
Did I tell you I'm not allergic to fish anymore?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't know that you were allergic to fish.
So, I apparently when I was a kid I had these thing called F5s, which is like protein-based allergies.
Okay.
I didn't find this out until like a year ago. But they go away, so my allergies look like probably when you were like 17 it went away.
Okay.
And I found out I could eat fish, and the ocean's been screwed ever since.
Okay. Well, there you go.
I've knocked out like 20 different kinds of fish in the past year.
Right. Get you some yum-yums, eh?
Nobody told me that salmon was that good.
I'm not a big fan of salmon. I don't like redfish. I only stick to the whitefish. That's it. Salmon is just, it's too fishy for me. So
I tried crawfish. I'm not a big fan of crawfish.
Crawfish, yeah. They're weird. They can be weird.
I don't like the grittiness. They have like this gritty texture, and I'm not about that.
Yeah. Now scallops are fucking fire. Yeah.
Bacon wrapped scallops.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
We have this restaurant.
Bacon wrapped scallops, yes, all day.
We have this restaurant called Surf, and you pay like $120 and you get this big fucking platter of seafood.
Okay.
And king crab legs and everything. And it's like for 5 people, but like me and my parents would go out.
Okay.
It ends up being a fight on who gets the crab legs, the king crab legs.
Okay. I mean, they're good, don't get me wrong, but yeah, that's funny.
Good stuff.
Hell yeah.
I haven't tried, and I wanted to try this grilled squid, but like,
oh yeah.
While the universe gave me a win for the fish, it gave me a lose for the gluten. So now, like,
shit.
Yeah, me and Brett aren't friends anymore.
That sucks. There's this place close to me. It's one of our favorite restaurants, and they have this fried calamari, but it's buffalo calamari. Oh, so get this. It's like little pieces of calamari, rings and tentacles. Both are amazing. Don't get it wrong. Deep fried and tossed in buffalo sauce, and then blue cheese is added on, and then it comes with a side of blue cheese dressing. Oh my god, so good, so good.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, and then they fry up, in addition to that, little jalapeno rings, and they throw those in there, and they're so good. So good. And we're actually going there tomorrow night for dinner, so kind of can't wait now.
Sounds amazing.
It really is.
I was telling my mom about this interview today, and we were talking. She's like, "You're gonna have to tell Kid Tim you can't have crab rangoons anymore."
Oh, what?
She's like, "You can have the fish part. You can have the fish part, but you can't have the wrapper part." And that never crossed my mind.
Mother, why? Oh shit! There goes the meme, huh?
Emotional damage.
Yeah. Jesus, I'm sorry about that. That sucks.
It do be like that some days. It really do.
You can't take any medicine to help that out or anything? Oh, fuck off. That's terrible.
I have been without bread or wheat or gluten for the whole year now.
Condolences.
Been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I would kill for a croissant.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I would massive war crimes for a good gluten-free croissant.
There you go. Right?
Yes. All right, we are on. Give me
5?
the gluten.
Yeah, right.
5.
5? Is it 5?
I really should number these. Could half the time
probably
be
should.
Like number 5.
Yeah.
All right.
Or at least check them off 5. Or something. Yeah.
What does your artwork represent? Are there themes or messages?
I don't think that it really. I don't think that most of my stuff represents very much, other than my love for robots and stuff. You know, fictional, mechanized humanoid robots. Now, mind you, Airdrop was an exception because it was kind of an homage to the 67th Tactical Fighting Wing, which is a real combat unit located in Japan. So that was a bit of an homage to them. But otherwise, I don't really have much in terms of deeper meaning or anything like that in terms of any themes or anything like that. Most have stories, and ideas behind them, but I wouldn't necessarily say themes. Hummingbird was more of a passion project for me, and I did come up with a backstory for that and everything. So that maybe had a theme. Ozzy, same type of deal, but not to the same scale. So no, I don't think I necessarily have a theme. I just really like robots. I really like that genre of mecha. So yeah.
No, that's solid.
Yeah,
I feel that. I love big robots.
Right? Who doesn't? Like, come on, they're awesome.
I watched Pacific Rim and I got hooked.
Right?
I got lost in my robot sauce.
See,
Del Toro had no reason going as hard as he did in Pacific Rim, but
yeah, for me, it was Transformers, GoBots, and Voltron. So that's what did me in the mid '80s. So or early
that
early
surprised
80s, I should
me.
say. Wow.
I was a huge Transformer kid.
Yeah.
Massive, but I never viewed them as mecha for some odd reason.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why was I not into Transformers then as I am into giant robots now?
Yeah. Like I was all about it when I was a kid. Like when, back in 1984 when Generation 1 Transformer was on the air, and even earlier than that, like GoBots here in the States and Voltron, the Lions, not the vehicles, fuck the vehicles. When all of that was airing,
tell us how you really feel.
I know, right? My mom would get me the toys, the GoBots, and because the GoBots were really small. Those were by Matchbox or something like that. Those were on the scale of Transformers. Those were like the size of fucking bumblebees. They were simple and everything like that. Some were bigger, but most were just small. So those were kind of like my introduction to the toy side of thing and the models and stuff. And then she got me Transformers, and I always remember opening up I forget which one it was. I think it was like Starscream or something like that. And she, of course, she's just like, okay, let's read the directions to see how this thing works, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck that. I'm just pounding at it like a Rubik's cube. And by the time she's done reading like the first page, I already have it transformed. And she's just like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know, I just did it,
big robot.
So yeah, exactly. And so the history after that, it was it for me. I was done, hook, line, and sinker.
Can I tell you something funny that nobody else really knows?
Well, they're gonna know soon.
Yeah. I've been a little more vocal. I used to write Transformers fan fiction in high school.
For some reason, that doesn't surprise me.
I ran one of the second largest Tumblr fan fiction accounts for Transformers.
Oh my fucking god. Oh, Tumblr. Wow.
It's still...
You know
it's
what?
still active. Well, it's still up there. I haven't brought myself to delete it yet.
Yeah.
But the public will not know which one.
Oh, come on, John Lynn. Feed the monster. Let's go.
Many sins have been committed on that fanfiction page. I was that kid.
Yeah?
You're hearing it live, Tim. I was that kid.
Oh, shit. All right. That's funny. That doesn't surprise me one bit. It really doesn't.
Looking back at it now, I wish it would all disappear. But now I have like this whole scandalous thing.
Why?
Scandalous fan fiction, Tim.
Oh, did it get spicy? Oh, the Transformers got rusty, didn't they? Jesus Christ.
Think of, well, it was in the peak of when Yaoi was really popular with.
When what?
Teen Yaoi was really popular with teen girls.
I don't know what that is.
The boy love genre of manga.
Oh, okay. I got you. Fair. Yeah. So Optimus
think that
destroyed Bumblebee, didn't he?
No, it was Megatron.
Oh no, even worse. He was a gladiator.
Enemies to lover, 40K.
Yeah, he knew how to throw it around, didn't he? Jesus Christ. Oh boy. Bad mental pictures. Anyway, moving on.
Question. That way when Kyle brought it up on Mechanism, the Transformer stuff, I started to laugh.
Oh no.
One of them that he brought up was mine.
Oh shit. Wow. Oh, the history.
We're learning things about each other, Tim.
Yeah. And the larger public is going to learn things too. They're going to find it. They will.
The tell-all.
Uh-oh.
The tell-all interview. Okay, number 6.
Yep. Oh, you broke up for a second.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
It do be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, number 6.
All right.
How do you think art is important to society?
It's absolutely fucking crucial. Like, I was thinking about this one earlier today. Like, this is one of the questions that really stood out to me. And it's like, I really had to think about it. Not in terms of what my opinion is, but, for deeper kind of meaning, I mean, art's been around since, man has walked on 2 feet. Yep. So, you have to think like, well, okay, so people can express themselves, and even at that early developmental stage of the human brain, they still created art. Yeah. So I mean, if it's not absolutely crucial, I mean, I don't know what is. I mean, it's not on the same scale of things that you need to survive, like air, water, shelter, etc. But in terms of human happiness, I think it's of the utmost importance, and it's absolutely critical to human, just kind of not necessarily physical survival, but almost like mental survival.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine a world without music. Like, imagine that for a second. How dull would shit be without music? How dull would it be without TV or movies, or hell, video games is even art, in certain terms. So it's like, I personally think that it's 100% critical and crucial to everyday society. And it does pain me to see the relative importance diminished, especially in American society. Because you see year after year, and this has been going on for decades, the lowering of funding to the arts, especially the endowment of arts and things like that. I mean, it's a shade of what it once was, and it's sad. And you see that too in schools. Like I said, my daughter's in high school, and there's not nearly the emphasis placed on the arts as it was before.
Yeah.
A lot of the elective courses now tend to be more analytical, more business based, things like that.
Yeah.
As to where, when I went to school in the mid 90s, there was a ton of art. You could take a myriad of things. I mean, you could take drawing, you could take painting, you could take sculpting. I think, at the higher levels, there was even airbrushing and stuff like that, not like for what we do, but, for, literally airbrushing, paintings and stuff. There was all sorts of music. There was all sorts of, other kind of crafty arts, if you will, for electives and things. And they just don't have that nowadays, which is unfortunate and it's sad. But I think, for the grandiose health of society, art is just absolutely critical. Yeah, I think it's insanely important.
I am right there with you. Like I had to take one art class in high school, and that was the only art class I had in high school.
Right.
And it was more focused on not even the art itself, but like how to turn art into academic writing.
Wow.
Which, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if I'm in an art class, the last thing I should be doing is writing a paper unless I'm in a higher level art class and you start analyzing different art styles and stuff.
Yeah.
But my experience of art outside of that came from basically a nonprofit organization. Like I mentioned this in my blog quite a few times. Raw Arts is a nonprofit in Massachusetts that provides art to we're a low income area.
Sure.
And the only time these kids are going to get any experience doing art. So that was the only time I got it because my school didn't fund it.
Yeah.
And when I moved up to New Hampshire, the only arts that were funded were theater and music.
Yeah.
So I didn't get any art electives, and when I came to school up in New Hampshire, I had to take a theater arts class. That was it.
It's fucking tragic, honestly. I mean, you just look at the way that art has impacted, human civilization. I mean, from the cave paintings of Neanderthals to, the intricate decorations on, the walls of the pyramids and sarcophagus and stuff like that, to the, clay pottery in Rome and Greece and the statues and everything and the architecture and all of that. Even through the Dark Ages, even though it was the Dark Ages, I mean, you look at some of these amazingly intricate tapestries and things like that. I mean, it's insane. And then to medieval China and Japan and Mongolia and things like that. I mean, those art pieces are even still around to this day, which is a testament to the craftsmanship of it all.
A lot of people don't
crazy.
recognize the social anthropological impact of art.
Yeah.
And you see them when we're trying to debate this at school meetings and stuff, because, you know, football fields need funding, but
yeah,
when you try and get some money for an art program, suddenly people are like, what's the use?
yeah, yeah. Well, sports pay the bills, unfortunately. Which, I can't necessarily be a hypocrite. I played football in high school, and I still love to watch football. So, it has its place. But if I had to choose between the two, I'd easily go the art route 100% of the time. And it's weird because, you look back at one of the most glorious artistic periods in history is the Renaissance. It was literally an enlightening,
Yeah.
In both art and academics. They went hand in hand. It's just, some of the most amazing works of music have come out during the Renaissance. Some of the most amazing pieces of artwork, classical artwork, sculpture, paintings.
Yeah.
All of that came out. Even, you have to also think about, technological advancement, came out, during the Renaissance as well. And when you have the convergence of all of those things in unison, in equality, it's one of the greatest times in human history. And it's sad to think that we've not had anything like that since, and we may never see that during our lifetime,
No.
which is really unfortunate. But that's the human condition. What do you expect, especially nowadays?
Yeah. So. And it's so difficult in, like, to have, I think, a modern art movement in our current society.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we'll see an art movement like the Renaissance or, like, even abstractism in the 40s and stuff. I don't think we'll see another one of those for at least another good 100 or 120 years.
Yeah.
Not till we have another mass war and all that.
Yeah. Well, and another bad thing is that art in and of itself is starting to be diminished. I mean, you look at AI. It's the culprit, Yeah. And I turn my nose up at it too. But I mean, when the art itself is watered down to a simple prompt, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh yeah.
And when people stop appreciating the skill and the talent and the dedication and the perseverance that goes into creating something, and the passion that goes into creating something, when they can just type in a few words and get something amazing spit out at the end, it does water down the meaning of the word art, unfortunately, because a classical art, in terms of images and all of that, has hit first. But now with different styles of artificial intelligence, that's going to move into the music space. I think it already has. That can easily transfer over to sculpture with 3D printers.
Yeah.
An AI can come up with a 3D file and pop it into a printer and have a sculpture, essentially.
For AI written sermons now for churches. If you need a sermon.
Get the fuck out of here.
Somebody has a tool for that. I was looking at it the other day. Fucking stupid as shit.
Wow. That's when you know it. That's when you know it's encroaching, right? When it creeps into religion. Holy shit.
I don't like AI art, and I will never spend a dime on it.
Pope's shitting in his robe right now. Watch. Oh no, they're coming for my job.
AI Pope.
Yeah, right. I don't even know if the Pope's Italian. He's just in Italy. I don't know if he's Italian or not. I think what is he, English or Spanish or some shit? I don't know.
We can stereotype a Pope. It's fine.
Yeah, hey, it's more fun that way, right?
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Number whatever. What motivates you to create, and what burns you out?
What motivates me to create is just my absolute undying passion for this hobby and how I get to express myself in not only working in the plastic and everything, but creating something that didn't necessarily exist prior, and choosing the color palette and the decorations in terms of decals and metal parts and a base and how to present it and all of that. Like that keeps me up at night. That keeps me thinking. That keeps me going, right? Even throughout this whole hiatus that I've been on, from moving and everything, I've never once stopped thinking about building, and I've always kind of had the itch, like to build. And mind you, I'm working on a private commission right now that I can't really talk about. But even through all of that, I think about building my own things, right? Because that's my happy spot, right? It is sitting down at the bench and basically going toe to toe with myself and trying to incrementally improve my skill set from the previous day or the previous session or what have you. And just knowing how what I create impacts others also keeps me going. And the inspiration that I am able to impart on people, and help them achieve their goals in the hobby. That's another thing that really kind of drives me as well, because, especially when I was streaming, I would get messages and getting tagged in posts and all that stuff all the time, where people were like, oh, hey, this is inspired by, Tim or whatever, or I get messages saying, hey, you're a huge inspiration. And I've got a stack of mail downstairs in the studio, saying that in 100 different ways that I've held on to. And then I thumb through every now and then to, kind of get that jolt of motivation again. But those are the main two things that drive me in this hobby. In terms of burnout, my friend Bailey said on his podcast, and I'll never forget this, is that burnout doesn't have anything to do with you. Burnout is caused by outside influences making a radical change in your lifestyle. And mind you, I'm paraphrasing, because he's got his, like degree or PhD or doctorate or something like that in all of this. So he's much more educated on the subject than I am, and he says it way more eloquently than I do. But the gist of it is that, so when somebody gets burned out, it's usually due to outside influences. It's not usually something that happens because that they're just tired or whatever, and every single time that I've been burned out, I look back in it and I'm like, yeah, that's actually that's 100% accurate. Right. So it's impossible to keep outside influences like that away 100% of the time. But I do try to minimize its impact. Right. obviously there have been, plenty of times here within the past few years that, I've been impacted. The divorce obviously is the big one.
Yeah.
And everything involved in that did admittedly take its toll. And I stopped, a couple times here and there, and of course had to move. And that obviously caused me to, I wouldn't necessarily say burn out, but I had to stop to focus on that, which was way more important at the time. And I think that's a lot of what burnout is the fact that you have to refocus your efforts into something else other than the hobby. It's basically a point in time where the hobby's not the priority, and the priority supersedes any importance of the hobby. You know what I mean? So, I don't think that anything necessarily causes burnout. I think it's just external influences of that. Basically just echoing what Bailey had said. So, yeah. Uh-oh. You there? Oh, there you go.
Quality.
You're back. Yeah.
I'm back. I'm back.
Yeah. I credit Bailey 100% with that answer.
Well,
it's not mine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll make sure to add in a little star asterisk footnote citation.
Yes,
Roman
he
APA
would love that.
7 standard.
There you go.
That's all I know how to do. That's all my degree has taught me is APA.
Nice.
All right, next one. Do you have any tips for managing time for hobbies and art and maintaining family responsibilities?
Oh, my time management sucks ass. I will say that plainly. My time management's really, really bad, and it's always been really bad. I always think I have more time than what I actually do, or I always think things will take less time than they actually do. And that's my own shortcomings. I can't estimate and time manage very well. Not good at it. Yeah. So in terms of tips, nope, I don't have a single fucking one for anybody, because you don't want to listen to me. I'm the last person you want to listen to in terms of time management. But in terms of family and balance, yeah, I mean, family always comes first, no matter what. And I think that, going back to the divorce, I think that was a hard lesson that I had to learn. It wasn't, obviously completely all of that, but now, with my daughter, who lives with me, she's absolutely my number one priority above everything else in this world. So, if she needs my time, if she needs my attention, if she needs something, that she can't get for herself or provide for herself, then I'm right there. In terms of the overall balance, yeah, I mean, family should always come first. That quality time, that meaningful time, that time where people may be dependent on you. And I'm not necessarily for, monetary purposes, even just for emotional or mental support, or just to talk, whatever. That always takes precedent over this fucking hobby. This hobby can be gone tomorrow. Your family's probably still going to be there, So, if I had to give this hobby up for her, I'd do it in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even be a question. I'd be like, see ya, done. And it would be sad, right? I'd be sad about it, but I wouldn't think twice about it. So, yeah, family comes
I
first.
call dibs on the airdrop.
Yeah.
If you ever do.
You're gonna have to stand in line.
But no, I'll throw down. I'll
Yeah,
throw down for that one. I put too much
you may have
emotional
to.
baggage in airdrop.
Right? Yeah, you may have to
But
throw
no,
down.
that's a solid answer. I like that one. Tim the Family Man Harkins.
Yeah, well.
Alrighty. Next one. How do you define success as an artist?
I think success as an artist can only be measured by yourself. And what I mean by that, it can't be measured by external sources. Because art is so personal and individualized that when you're happy with your art, that's when you become successful. Because you have to think about it. If somebody's making millions of dollars and they hate what they're doing, is that art? I don't know. I personally don't think so. But then, you could be homeless on the street, folding, the thrown away newspaper into origami and be completely blissful about it. That's art to me. That would be art to that person, right? I don't think the amount of money or the amount of trophies or the amount of accolades or the amount of likes that you have or followers or subscribers or whatever, that doesn't equate to success to me. My own happiness and my own satisfaction with my own work is what makes me happy. And the sad part of it is the way that the artist's psyche is that I'm not exactly sure if I'll ever be truly happy or truly satisfied with what I do.
Nope.
So it's always a cat and mouse game. So I'm not necessarily sure if I'll ever reach success, So that's the sad part about it. But that's just the way it is.
I mean, that's just how it is as an artist. Believe it or not, I'm barely ever happy with what I do.
Yeah, but you create cool shit.
Even then.
Yeah.
There's always the afterthought of that could have been done better.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, and every single one of mine, yeah, I look back and I'm like, I could have done that better. I could have done that differently. Fuck, why did I do that? Yeah. Yeah, every single one. No matter how much people think that, my work is good or whatever they want to call it, I will always look back at certain things and just be like, you fucked that so badly, so bad. But that's just the artist's mindset,
Mm-hmm. It's a very, I don't want to say tragic, but rather unfortunate aspect of our noggins.
Yeah. I mean, we're the first people to have imposter syndrome,
Oh yeah.
That's just the fact of the matter. And there's no getting around that. So, yeah.
No. Which does lead us into our next question.
Yes.
Does art help you in other areas of your life, such as mental health or work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I mean, in terms of mental health, yeah, 100%, always, because it's my sanctuary, it's my happy place, it's my fortress of solitude. No matter whatever type of metaphor you want to throw at it, that's kind of your own personal bubble, and that's where you can truly express yourself without outside judgment. And I think that's massively important. I mean, it's it's comfort, you know.
Yeah.
It's like comfort food, you know. It's good for your
Yeah.
soul.
Chicken noodle soup for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think I think that's massively, massively important. Um, Now, in terms of what was the second part to the question? I forgot.
Mental health or work.
Oh, work. Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, work definitely it translates to, because I'm a graphic designer and creative in my company and everything. So, um, the skills that I learn in on both sides of things translates, you know, equally. They what is it, a bilateral exchange, if you will, um, because the things that I learn or use in the workday can be translated over to the hobby, and the stuff that I've learned in the hobby translates over to the work. So it's parallel in that aspect of things. um yeah, I mean, I like being someone that wants to have their stuff out there. You have to have a range of skill set. Um, you know, if you're creating content like videos and stuff, you know, you have to know how to shoot it. You have to know how to edit. You have to know how to color, sound, you know, all of that. Um, you know, if you want to post your stuff online, you know, and be good at it, you know, you'd have to you have to know photography and lighting and all that shit. Um, so that all translates over to what I do for work. And then the things that I do for work in turn translate over to the hobby space as well. So it's, yeah, it for me personally, um, you know, having a creative job, it's there's a synthesis there.
Nice. I mean, yeah, that was a very thorough answer. Next one.
Yeah.
How do you develop your art skills?
Um, it depends on the art, you know. Um, Honestly, I think the base level of improvement of any art is just to do it. You just got to jump in and do it. Um, I forget who said it before, but um, everything's difficult in the beginning. You know, um, and it's very, very true. You know, when I started
Yeah.
building models, I sucked at it. It was hard, and I was just like, this sucks. This crap doesn't look like that. Why doesn't it look like that? You know. But then the longer I went down that rabbit hole, the more I learned, and the more I took in, and the more I became a student of the hobby. And I think with any art, you know, whether it be modeling, whether it be painting, um, anything digital, music, sculpture, whatever, you do need to become a student of that art. And what I mean by that is you need to embrace the learning side of it, right? And you need
Oh
to
yeah.
kind of embrace the learning of the history behind that art, and kind of what people have done before you. Um, and I think I think that's absolutely massively important to become more skilled in whatever art that you're pursuing, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so you know, like with modeling, you know, I was lucky enough to come up um, right at the beginning of, you know, well, prior to social media and stuff like that, when we still had message boards and everything. And I was lucky enough to be able to get subscriptions to like Hobby Japan and Dengeki Hobby and Model Graphics and all of that. And I've got all my stash down in the studio on my bookshelves and everything. You know, I was lucky to come up in the time where those there were like new techniques being created and evolved and stuff like that. I mean, you look at pre-shading, right?
Yeah.
Pre-shading it was essentially perfected by Max Watanabe, something like that. I hear it both ways. I hear it Watanabe, I hear it Watanabe from like Lincoln Wright, who personally knows the guy. So I'd probably err on that pronunciation. But Max back in like early 2000s kind of perfected the pre-shading technique on Gunpla. And you know, there are whole articles in the Hobby Japans that I have just based on, you know, him showing the technique and showing how to, you know, base everything in black and then, you know, do, you know, the colors and stuff like that on the panels and all that. So I was lucky enough to come up during that time, you know, that kind of, I don't know, maybe golden age, if you want to call it that, of Gunpla modeling. You know, before GBWC, before any huge competitions and stuff, before it was so kind of commercialized, if you will, especially here in the States. Learning that and seeing those guys in Hobby Japan and learning the names of some of those modelers, like Max Watanabe, like Kaita, like Mutu Osumi. Those are some of my favorite modelers who most people don't even know who the fuck they are anymore.
Oh yeah.
But some of these guys were like, you know, quote unquote, the forefathers of a lot of different techniques. You know, I use like a strapping detail, like a wrapped around the corner type of detail, a lot in my models. And that was from Mutu Osumi. And he kind of created that look and perfected it. But he used epoxy putty in his, where I use plastic most of the time. And, you know, I think a lot of people would probably recognize some of his works. If you remember, like the Mad Dog, ground GMs and stuff like that. And, what were they? The crows that were a bunch of customized goofs, and the Goblin Brother Doms and stuff. You'd probably know them if you've seen them.
Yeah, probably.
Because they've been around for years and years and years. But you know, I remember getting Hobby Japan back in the day and thumbing through, and I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. This is what I want to build, right? And I based my style heavily on, especially Moto Asumi. He's one of my favorite builders of all time, if not my favorite. And just being able to look in the Hobby Japans and study his technique and kind of look at it and break it down. Oh, I see what he did there. I see what he did there. That taught me to become a student of the hobby. And I unfortunately, I think nowadays there's not too many people in the hobby that have that ability to become students of the hobby. And that's unfortunate. But it's just the way that it is. You know, that's when something gets popular enough, that happens. It waters down the skill set pool, which is just a fact. But, you know, in terms of improving, you got to become a student of the hobby. That's job and priority one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't know how many books I own on color theory now.
Yeah, right?
I have like 10.
Yeah.
I got books about Pantone. I got fucking bonkers.
Well, I mean, I just posted, what was it, yesterday, about a new book that I got, right? And it's called Industrial Divinities 2017 by Ismojuki, right? That's the guy's pseudonym. His real name is Junji something. I forget his last name. Wonderful mechanical designer from Japan. And this book is insane because it not only has, like blow up kind of images and stuff like that with the different parts and everything. He's got full renders, like full CGI renders in real photo backgrounds and stuff like that all around Japan and everything. And he's thought up all of these different use cases and all that. Full English translations as well as, alongside the Japanese and everything. And I've been wanting this book for so freaking long. It's not even funny. And I finally found one here in the States and I got it. Luckily it was on Amazon. Paid a little bit more than I wanted to pay for it, but still it was a good solid buy. So that added to the library downstairs.
I just got a concept book a month and so back, and it's really fucking cool. I don't know if you've probably never seen this documentary. It's called Alien Planet. It was really popular in the early 2000s.
Okay.
They talked about it. Had not Carl Sagan. He's been dead for a while. Neil deGrasse Tyson, that really crazy Asian scientist that fully believes in aliens.
Oh,
and
yeah.
For concept,
I know who you're talking about.
And it's concept of finding new life on other planets and how we would go through handling them.
Yeah.
And the artist who did the alien concepts has a book out, and it's called Expedition by Wayne Douglas Barlow. And it's really cool because it goes through these really different alien life forms.
That's fucking dope.
and it goes through make your sketches if you were a scientist on the expedition.
That's cool as shit.
It talks about environments, sexual dimorphism, how to tell when something's going into the attack form.
Right.
And this has been such a huge inspiration in some of my world building lately.
Right.
Especially for Nightingale, the Oceanic Nightingale. This was the foundation idea for the documentary.
That's
and
cool.
This it's very difficult to find this book.
Yeah.
Under $100. It's a very limited print.
Okay.
And somebody managed to snag it for me for $50. But I love concept art books, and I really like the one you posted. But I don't have a lot of mecha. I don't have a lot of mecha concept art books.
Really?
Actually, I don't have any.
You need to get some. Come on.
But concept art books are the coolest thing, and I get really excited over them.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
There's one that I want. If you've ever seen the show Venture Brothers.
Yeah.
There's one out about that. About the concept art and going into making the show. And I'm trying to hunt me down a copy.
Oh shit. There's so many books that I have downstairs. I think last week I got a book about Halo Infinite, and that has all of the weapon designs and everything like that. And that's the only reason I bought it, was just for the weapons designs. I'm like, oh, this is so great. And the armor designs too, the Mjolnir armor and everything that, Master Chief wears. There's all of these different iterations of the helmet and the chest piece and, the gauntlets and everything. There's just, little differences in everything. And it's just so good. What was it? Destiny, the video game. I know I don't play video games, and I heard it was shit, but the artwork was brilliant. What was the Titanfall? They have two books about that. Both of them were outstanding, fucking brilliant. And I've got both of those. Just all of that, the art of and concept books and stuff like that.
I love it.
Yeah, They're worth their weight
like
in gold.
they're so phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like I love cracking into like people's minds and seeing
Right.
what they do, which is why I love doing these interviews so fucking much.
Right.
Just because I want to know. I want this
Yeah.
information.
Right. Right.
It just gets me mad hyped.
There you go.
ADHD Special Interest Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh God, Electric Boogaloo. You're making me feel old, John Lynn.
I quote that more than I probably should.
I watched that movie. I watched that movie when I was young. Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. I watched that movie.
7 years ago.
Fuck off.
Maybe. All right.
Anyway, what's next? Go.
Do you have a network of other artists, and how do they support you?
Oh, this is a tough one. Yes and no. Yes, I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of acquaintances and I have a lot of people that I know and stuff like that. And you know, if push came to shove, I know a lot of them would be there for me, no matter what, and a lot of them have, you included. You know, you every now and then check in on me and stuff like that, and see how I'm doing, which is appreciated.
The homie,
and there's yeah, no, that always makes me feel good whenever I see something like that, right?
Yeah,
and like having that is so massively important, right?
yeah.
I have friends all over the world, luckily, simply because of who I am and what I've accomplished in this hobby. And I'm insanely grateful for those connections. And I cherish each and every one of them, and they come in very handy at times, don't get me wrong. But in terms of a network of support in terms of the art itself, I don't know. I feel like when it comes to me and what I build, I'm very singular, and I keep that very compartmentalized,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily bounce too many ideas off people, simply because I don't want my work to be homogenized into something that's not completely mine, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's not in a selfish way. It's more just in a artistic purity type of way, and so that's kind of why I say yes and no. In terms of friendships and support and influence and stuff like that, yeah, absolutely. All my friends and acquaintances are massive and wonderful, and I love them all. But yeah, when it comes to actually building, I don't necessarily seek outside influence all that much, if at all, honestly. I may ask a question, hey, how would you do this, or something like that, maybe once in a blue moon, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of what I want to build, I have an idea in my head and I want to stick to that, and I usually don't go outside of my own head for that, so
I feel that.
Yeah.
Like, that's something I understand on a deep, complex level.
Yeah.
Like, I won't ask certain things very often. Like, I think the last 2 things I've asked the guys were like months back on how to extend a waist on the barbatos, because I just don't know how to do that shit. And then a quick discussion on third color options for the Nightingale.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, I never feel like I get the answer that do me any good.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, art is a very singular and individualized pastime.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask opinions of somebody, you're going to get their perspective of their singular outlook of things, you know, which is not necessarily your outlook on things. So, you know, outside suggestions may not necessarily be kosher with what you want to do, you know.
Hey, I mean, we see that in our friendship with your opinion on rattle cans and my advent use of rattle cans.
I mean, there are times and places, right? But
I have a
like
whole
when I
bookshelf full.
right, it was well, like when I was building the Ozymandias, right?
Yeah.
That was probably the most divisive build that I've ever made. Because you either love it or you hate it, especially the head, right? I personally fucking love it. But there's a lot of people that have made their points very, very clear that they don't like the look of it. And I'm cool with that. I'm totally fine with that because that's your individual taste. And you know, that's if I was to ask somebody that didn't like it what they thought, I mean, and I took if I took like actual worth of their opinion in mind, the Aussie could have looked very much different from what it does, which would have been sad because it wouldn't have been my vision, you know?
Personally, I love the Aussie. That's
Oh,
another one
thank
I
you.
am going to steal from you one of these days.
Fair enough.
That and airdrop. You're just gonna come
Yeah.
home and there're gonna be possum paw prints everywhere and missing builds.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. It's like that sometimes.
It be like that, right?
It do. It really do.
There we go.
I do say that a lot still, even outside of mechanism.
Yeah, well, I would not be surprised if you didn't, or if you did, or whatever. I don't even know. Anyway,
All
next
right.
question, John Lynn. Let's go.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Did
Do
you
you
lose your
have
place?
tips? I did. You know reading's hard for me, Tims. I'm trying to like read the question off my like phone, and I don't have my
Oh my
glasses.
God. Are you serious? You want me to pull up the questions and
No,
ask myself?
Tim, it's
Christ.
not all about you.
It may end up being that way at this rate.
We're trying to break that 4-hour Kyle record. We still got like 5 hours to go.
Yeah, right.
All night.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have tips for other artists looking to connect with their local hobby scene?
I'm probably not great at this particular subject because I don't have very many hobby stores around me. The one that I had years ago closed up back in like 18 or 19. And yeah, and there's not really any place else close. I think the next closest real hobby store is like 45 minutes away, something like that. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of other people do too. I'm sure a lot of people are completely on a hobby island with nothing for hours, you know, in proximity. So, you know, I'm not necessarily going to complain about my situation. But in terms of your, you know, your local hobby store, and if you want to get involved in that, just fucking go there and start talking to people and asking questions, you know? You know, and I know for some people that's difficult, right? Myself included. I'm not the type that will just go up to somebody and strike up a conversation. It's just not going to happen. But if you want to find, you know, your tribe, if you want to find your people, if you want to find, you know, your group of friends and stuff like that in the hobby, you know, at some point you're gonna have to bite the bullet and just be like, hey, you know what, I gotta go do this, or just walk in and walk around and see what the place is all about or whatever. You know, it may not be your scene, it may not be your people, it may not be your tribe, but it may be. So you got to take that first step, and that's always the hardest step. Is the first one. So
I feel you on that one. I get that, and it's solid. It's a solid notion. Like, the only reason I became known in my local hobby community is because I walked into our local comic book store and blessed John, the owner. I wipe out all the Haros every single time when you go in there.
yeah.
There, there was one time they were having a build night, but I had went in there for something else, and he had like 12 Haros neatly stacked on the shelf, and I just took them and I like pushed them off into the cart like arm swipe style.
Just like going down a grocery store aisle, just oh my.
And that's how they met me.
Yeah. That's a
Like,
that's a hell of a first impression.
John was used to that. We have a point system now, and like I just spend it all on Haros whenever you get them in.
Wow. Yep, that's not surprising in the slightest.
He calls it the Spidey senses because I seem to show up the day they come in.
You have the tingle, huh?
But the tingle, not the bad tingle.
My.
That can get treated.
No, yeah.
But I feel bad, and like especially because I know a lot of places have no hobby stores. For those interested, on a side note, if you go on the blog, you can find a whole bunch of hobby resources from IPMS to local stores. There might be one in your area. I'm trying to work on this, but it's fucking hard finding some of this information.
Google is your best friend.
Google is not your best friend.
Wow. In certain cases it is.
But yeah, check out if you want to find out a store near you. Check out the blog, Hobby Resources, creepingfreelyforyou.com. Shameless self-plug. And with that one, we're moving on to the next question. Hey, I'm picking up tips from the hobby influencers. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
All right. Which hobby trends inspire your work?
Hobby trends?
Like, yeah.
I you know, I'm vested enough. I don't want to say old. I'm vested enough in this hobby that I honestly I don't follow fucking trends. I think trends are dumb. I honestly I try to go anti-trend, if you will, right? So if some hot model comes out and everybody's building it, I try to build the opposite of that. If I have a new project or something, right? So like like the hummingbird and the Aussie were perfect examples. Like, completely, opposite of whatever was coming out at the time. Airdrop, everything, completely opposite, against the grain, if you will, right? And no, I'm not huge on the trends and stuff like that. Obviously, if you've ever watched my live streams or Mechanism, you know how I feel about or felt about 3D printing and 3D modeling and stuff like that. My stance has softened a bit. Obviously for GBWC, that's a hard stance still. But for personal builds and stuff like that, or other competitions that aren't hard line like GBWC, I get it. It's an easy, quick way to an end. But for me, I'm still going to flex my building muscles, so to speak, and scratch build and work in plastic and work in epoxy putty and work in resin and all of that, as much as I possibly can. 3D modeling and 3D printing has its place, and I think that people should realize what it is and what it takes to do that, and then also what it doesn't take to do that as well.
Yeah.
3D modeling is a skill. It's an art, just like anything else, and I don't diminish that. But in the same vein, you're not doing the you're not actually modeling, if that makes sense. You're not scale modeling. I should probably say, because if you're not building it with your own two hands, that's not scale modeling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you're having a printer do it. You're having a printer physically build the piece, as opposed to creating it with your own two hands.
Yeah.
In the truest definition, scale modeling is building with your own two hands, where 3D printing is not exactly that. So while it's probably never going to happen, I would love people to make the distinction and realize the distinction between the two. And that, that right now is a trend. And if I'm being honest and transparent, yes, I've thought about getting a 3D printer.
You should have fun.
What's that?
You should have fun. I just got one.
Yeah. There, like I said, there's uses, if I'm printing, if I have a 3D, you've printed a crab. Seriously? That's what you printed, a crab?
Yes.
And a blue crab at that.
Crabs.
So there you go. Good job. But if I'm being honest, yeah, is it easier to print off a piece than to sit here and toil? Yes, absolutely it is. Especially if you have to make multiples of that piece, right? And they have to be identical. Is it easier? 100%, no doubt. Does it take as much skill to do that as opposed to scratch building? We can have a debate on that. I think that they're two different skill sets, so it's kind of comparing apples to oranges now. But I don't, in terms of raw scale modeling and exactly what we're doing, I don't think that it compares. And I don't think that it takes as much skill to do that in terms of actual scale modeling, as it does to work with your own two hands and figure out geometry and engineering and aesthetics and layering and all of that, and spatial, equivalencies and things. It you really have to think and come up with all sorts of game plans and ideas and trial and error when it comes to scratch building, as opposed to letting a computer figure out the math for you and letting the printer build the piece for you. I know that's going to piss off a lot of people. Sorry about your luck. Come at me. I don't give a fuck. But
I'll put Tim's email in the description.
Tim@ChildofMecha.com. Bring it. But no, I think, does that have its own skill set and artistry? Yes, 100%. Yes, and absolutely. And it's a valid artistic expression, in my opinion. But in terms of scale modeling on that plane of terminology, no, it doesn't hold water nearly as much as working with your own two hands and being a craftsperson or craftsman or whatever term you want to use. I think the craftsmanship of scratch building and doing it by hand is, in my opinion, far more respected and far more satisfying and far more impressive than 3D printing something like that. That's just my opinion, though. So no, I stay away.
Answer.
I stay away from trends.
You should get a 3D printer, bro. It is way too much fun.
Like I said, I'm not gonna lie. I continue to think about it. but I don't know 3D modeling, so it's like, why bother with that?
Thingiverse. I don't make shit.
Now, see, that's the thing. I would want to make my own stuff because I'm that person.
Well, if you're ever interested, I found a company that makes mini 3D printers, and it's like this fucking big, but it's only like $100.
Oh, jeez.
Like, for my...
See, you know me, John Lynn. If I'm going to be a bear, I'm going to be a grizzly. I'm going to go all out, and I'm going to overkill because overkill is underrated, and I'm going to get the biggest, baddest, sharpest, most high-tech motherfucking resin printer out there that prints like these beautiful, you know, line-free prints and all that shit. That would be me.
Oh my god, it's so much fun though. Like, I'm printing minis, I'm printing crabs, mini Home Depot buckets, possums.
I'm not gonna lie, that does actually sound quite fun. Printing Home Depot bucket, just the little stupid things, you know. It's just I don't know.
You can print them because originally they're supposed to be can cozies, but I scaled them down to like mini. But like, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't take quite that, because if I can do it, a monkey can do it, you know. But best gift of 2020s is a 3D printer. Cause I still got a bunch of stupid shit I gotta print out.
Right. Well, and I actually bought a Blender course to take at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I bought a course off of Udemy. So it'll be updated, you know, hopefully constantly with the different versions of Blender and everything. So, you know, that may happen down the line. It's not necessarily a priority at this point.
I'm going to bug you about it. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's cool. So,
like,
yeah.
I was thinking about getting, because my laptop's seeing its age, and honestly, I don't really need one now that I'm done with school.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about getting a new desktop setup.
Yeah.
And getting one that can handle Blender.
Yeah.
So I can learn how to do it, because, like, remember those minis I made a while back? The Toofies and, like, the lumpy dudes that had the butts?
Oh, yes.
I was thinking about sculpting those in Blender, because, not for nothing, I'm really not fond of the tedious, let's make the latex molds and let's pour the...
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass, I'm not going to lie.
It was a tedious process, and I don't got the patience for it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But, moving on to the next one.
Yes.
How has your style changed over time?
You know, style's an interesting thing. Because, you know, you do kind of back into it, you develop it over time, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, most people don't necessarily have a style. Most people just replicate what they see, right? So most people will replicate what the box looks like or what it looked like in the anime or something like that. And then as time moves on, as their skill sets improve, as their creativity blossoms, and if their dedication to the hobby is still there, then they may want to step outside of the box a little bit, right? And that's kind of what my path was. You know, my first few models, I replicated I tried to replicate what it looked like on the box or in the anime. And then I quickly just got bored with it. And then I started doing, you know, custom color schemes and stuff like that. And then got into actual customizing and stuff. And I don't think I really developed a style, quote unquote, until, I mean, it had to be the hummingbird. And that was kind of the beginning of, you know, quote unquote, my style. But I think with airdrop, that was the one where I kind of found my lane, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, with that slightly weathered look, not all in on the weathering, but slightly. You could still see the cleanliness through all of that. And I do like that style, that look, that presentation. But I also still really like the clean, absolute clean builds too. And I may alternate, honestly, between the two. But it's just, trying to find your style, especially in the beginning, is trial and error. And then you're going to hit something that feels comfortable, right? Something that you like, something that you're good at, something that kind of, in a way, feels like home, right? And you're going to start to recognize that, and you're going to start to use that more and more in your models. And then as time goes on, the repetition that you build in that particular technique or style or whatever is going to start to develop into your individual style. So I think that's kind of been my path. And I think that genuinely, generally English, generally is most people's paths, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's usually what it looks like for, finding your own style, so it's a very individualized process. So
yeah, everybody's been a little different.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yes, it
All
is.
Right.
I am fantastic. Right. So all right, fair enough.
It all depends on the answer to some of these next few questions.
Oh, okay.
All right. Is there a specific environment or material that is crucial to your work?
I mean, material we've talked about. It's got to be plastic, right? That's critical in plastic modeling, right? That's a no-brainer. In terms of environment, yes, absolutely. Again, I think to be able to improve and be able to focus and be able to hone in on your skill set and your style, you need a place of peace and solitude and quiet, right? And I think that's all that place, quote unquote, is different for everybody, right? Me, I have my own room that is my studio, right? Now for other people, it may be the dining room table, late at night when everybody else in the house is asleep. That may be their space, You don't necessarily need a studio like I have, to have an environment that's good for scale modeling. You don't need a dedicated room. You don't need a garage setup, or you don't need a basement setup or anything like that. You just need a place where you have the ability to focus and the ability to kind of just zero in on what you're doing. And like I said, that's different for everybody. And that may mean you're the only one up at that time of night, or you're the only one at home during that time of day, or you're the only one living, at your place or whatever. But in retrospect and in comparison to that, that may also mean for people that, you got, your girlfriend or boyfriend, watching TV in the background or something like that. Or you got a bunch of kids running around saying, daddy, 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 whatever. If that environment, if that space makes it, comfortable and if you're allowed to focus in that space, then that's all you need, you know? So the environment is different for everybody. It's all in what your comfort level is in that environment, I think.
I like that answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Because, like, I've come to learn I cannot focus on doing shit when I'm not at this little bench. Because then suddenly my penguins start running around and they're escaping, and next thing I know, I'm watching something on TV instead of what I actually need to be doing.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And
but at my work then.
And this thing needs to go away, right? Or it needs to be, you know, silenced or turned off or something like that. You know, the distraction levels need to be lower than what they normally are.
Mm-hmm. Because, like me, I get on the bench, and is this the neatest of places? Fuck no.
Yeah.
I have like 5 different projects on this workbench right now.
Yeah.
And sit down. Wipe whatever is on there off, because sometimes it gets a little glittery, whatever bullshit of the week.
Yeah.
When I take my phone, I put on my podcast or my audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because I've been listening to a lot of epidemiology audiobooks lately.
Okay. Yeah.
Rabies, all that fun stuff.
That's awesome.
I build. I build.
Wow. Rabies. Great.
I can't. Like, whatever special interest through my head this week, I went through a phase where it's like rabies, Ebola, rabies. Suddenly, like mushrooms.
Okay.
Crabs.
I mean, hey, you know, to each their own. Everybody is going to have their own individual thing. I'm not knocking it. I'm just, you know.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
I do keep a lot of random information in my head.
Well, don't we all?
And to be fair, it harkens back. It harkens back to in high school. I was on a college level trivia team.
Okay.
So I just have a lot of useless information, and they're gonna need like to learn random things that I'm never going to apply to my later on life. But yeah, I mean, like, I can't sit down at the kitchen table because suddenly I have 2 dogs next to me, and I don't want to build. I want to play with my dogs. Like, and Lola has a habit of smacking things out of your hand, so Lord forbid I have a hobby knife out there.
Right. But, you know, like, for somebody that may be completely opposite. They may need that companionship in the room while they're doing their thing, you know? So it's very, very individualized, you know, for your environment. So it's all in what you need to. Yeah. It's all in what you need to benefit, you know? That's the name of the game. That's the bottom line.
Speaking of benefits.
Yes.
And beneficial values.
Yes.
Timothy.
Go. Yes.
What's the nutritional value of the Mecha decal?
I love this one. Yes. The nutritional value of Mecha decal is very, very high. It is a superfood, by the way. It is gluten-free. So there you go, John Lynn.
I can keep eating them.
Yeah, gluten-free, high in protein, vegan, naturally sourced, sustainable, green, the whole 9 yards. And it is absolutely crucial for human survival. It's above air and water. So you need to go and buy them to survive. It's crucial. Let's put it this way. It's crucial to the survival of the human race.
Now, I have a question just because people have been discussing it, and I know we got a few flavors already. When are we going to get yellow Mecha decals, orange Mecha decals, purple Mecha decals, more frog Mecha decals, Timothy?
I honestly, I can't answer that question. We only have 4 sheets out there. We're still, even a couple years into this, we're still in the baby steps of this thing. So, we're getting the decals out there now. They're available in hobby towns. Hoping to get more, stores on board, and more countries and stuff like that on board. So it's all about developing the brand and the business, which it takes time. You gotta crawl before you walk. So trust me, everything's on the table at this point. It's just in terms of capabilities that is the unfortunately the hurdle right now. So trust me, that's all on the table, all of it. Two color sheets, different funky colors, metallics, you name it. The possibilities are endless. It's just the capabilities of what we can do right now, which is the hurdle. So yeah,
you've heard it here, folks. Mecha decal coming to a supermarket near you.
Hey, let's go.
I love it. I use, believe it or not, Tim, you're one of the first decal companies that I actually used.
Hey, see?
Yeah, it's on the Nightingale.
There you go. Keep using them.
Granted, I fucked it up putting it on, but it's on there.
Oh, Jesus. How did you fuck it up?
The edges got a little angry, but I covered it in paint, so nobody will see it.
Fair enough.
Make no mistake, you can't hide if you just pour more paint on it.
Right? Yeah. That's one way of doing it.
Nobody will know if you just pour paint on it.
Done.
Solid. Life skill. Ending the interview. We're done. I'm shutting down the blog.
Yeah. Jesus.
All right. Next one. Because we only got like 7 more to go.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Who are your biggest artistic influences?
Okay. If I'm talking scale modeling,
any.
I know I've yeah, well, starting with scale modeling, I've already mentioned Moshu Asumi. Just like I said previously, I kind of styled my own style off of his, and I will always credit him with helping me find my style and developing what I put out to the world and the techniques and stuff like that. I will always attribute him to those things. Big influence. And if you don't know him, look him up. Motoosumi. Mutu Osumi. He's on Twitter. You can find him. I follow him. He actually retweeted some of my tweets before, and I fangirled when he did it because I was like, oh, what? But yeah, wonderful modeler. Outside of that, there's a ton of different concept artists. Emerson Tung, Johnson Ting. God, I can't even think of a bunch of other ones. There's so many. I follow. If you go onto my Instagram and you look at the people that I follow, you'll find just a ton of concept artists and just general badassery. There's one guy right now. His handle on Instagram is Mech Zone, I believe. And back in the day, they had these little figures called battle beasts, right? Yeah. Just these little PVC figures, and they were like maybe this tall, right? And the only parts of articulation were the arms. They would just go like this, right? But they were awesome. They were these little anthropomorphized animals with mechanized armor on them, right? And then they had one of those little kind of heat reactive stickers, and you would rub it to lighted up and everything, kind of like Transformers were back in the day. And
Yeah.
it was kind of a rock, paper, scissors type of faction going on, right? And there would be 3 factions, and you would rub it to see who would win in a fight, right? And he's been producing artwork for the entire line of Battle Beasts here recently, and I've loved every single one of them. They're amazing, right? And if you want to follow him, go look on my Instagram follows. I've liked every single fucking one of his works here recently. Just outstanding. But Emerson Tung is amazing, amazing artist. He's the guy that has done all of the tank head mechs, the robots with the tanks as heads, and he's done a bunch of them. He's done like tigers and panzers and Shermans and all of that, right? Modern historics, everything. Amazing artist. And he's done mechs too, which are top quality. Johnson Ting, which is another guy, the one who I took the inspiration for Ozymandias, another amazing concept artist. He kind of falls more into the fantasy kind of space, and just there's a ton of other ones that I follow on there, and the names escape me, unfortunately. I mean, shit, I could probably pull it up on my phone right now and ramble off like 3 or 4. Let me see, just off the top of okay, so boom, Mech Zone right there. That's one of the Battle Beasts. That's the first thing that came up in my feed right now. That's fucking awesome. That gets a like, easy. Let's see here. Who else we got? I mean, there's so freaking many, right? And then I follow modelers, all over the place. One person who's doing really cool stuff in 3D modeling, Natalie.3D blah, right? She's the one that does all of the what was it? She sculpted the new Gundam head in 3D, and she kind of put her own spin on it. She did Hayaku Shiki. This one obviously is the Goof, and that's actually pretty fucking cool. She just released that 3 hours ago. That gets a like. That's easy. So yeah, all of these people that I follow on Instagram and that I follow on ArtStation, easy inspiration. If I follow somebody, it's usually for a good reason. Let's put it that way.
Except for me, I'm an itch Tim can't get rid of.
Please. You're extremely creative, and I respect that. So, yeah.
That's a solid answer, Tim.
Fair.
I like that. I really like learning about influences and what gets people going.
Oh, yeah.
Hobby-wise.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
And
concept artists, mechanical artists, anything, yeah.
That's just my like the criminologist in me. I just like to see how people function.
Yeah.
Which we get to our next question.
Yeah.
What do you listen to when working?
Oh, that is a wide range of things. God, I've gone through audiobook series like a hot knife through butter. I think building the Hummingbird, I listened to the entire current Game of Thrones audiobooks. I think I actually listened to them twice, not during that build, but collectively while modeling. I've listened to the entire Witcher series. the Ready Player 1 and 2, all sorts of those books. If I'm not listening to audiobooks, I have a computer right there on the desk. I'll bring up movies, or I'll bring up, TV series or something like that. I watched the entire series of Deadwood, never had any inclination to watch it before. I tried to watch it, the first couple episodes. I just didn't get hooked. And then I actually made myself watch it, and it was really fucking good. Yeah, it was amazing. It's a great series. And I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not watching it, when it first came out. But I also am kind of thankful because I got to binge straight through it without having to wait week after week, year after year. So that's a plus too. Different series, different documentaries, different movies, stuff like that. Things that I can listen to but don't have to pay attention to, right?
Yeah.
Anime with subtitles, hard pass. If I have to read it, it's not going to work. Yeah. Outside of that, music, not so much. It's usually either audiobooks or media, like visual media or something like that. So that's usually what I have on, in the background, so to speak. So, yep.
I get that. I feel that.
Yeah.
I pretty much do the same thing.
Yeah. Some people like music. Nowadays. What's that?
Aseptic video essays nowadays.
Yeah.
There's so much.
No
fun.
TED Talks.
I watched a. No, I don't do TED Talks. I don't.
No.
Really...
Nah. Oh, okay. Some of them are really good. Some of them are shit. So.
I've had to watch too many for school of TED Talks. I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
I watched a 40-minute video essay about how Bionicle saved Lego from bankruptcy.
I saw that on my feed, and I did not delve into that. I was like,
you should have.
That looks interesting, but I don't have the time for that right now. You know what I mean? Like, I just, yeah.
It's bonkers. It really is.
Yeah. Now, like, I'll turn on like, different, different people that I follow on YouTube. I follow a lot of woodworkers, because it's that craft is very, I respect that craft very much. So I'll turn on stuff like that, and I'll look up sometimes and watch and everything. And I'll watch that. I'll watch like history of, fill in the blank. I love like, watching like different, comic book lore and stuff like that, like history of like X-Men or Captain America, whatever. I'll put those on sometimes. And like Business Insider has a great channel.
Oh, I love this. I love their stuff.
Right? Like, why is X so expensive? Those I fucking love. The Fez episode is very intriguing and very like, wow, but a lot of them are like that, and those go on for like 20 some minutes usually. Those are great to put on. Yeah, so that's the smorgasbord of what I consume when I'm building.
I respect that. I really do.
Yeah.
I can't. I met somebody the other day who doesn't like music.
In general, or just when building?
Yeah, in general.
Oh, fuck those people.
So I'm just like, what do you listen to?
That's not you need to report that to the government, because that's an extraterrestrial alien, and they need to be taken into custody and they need to be studied. So yeah.
Yeah, I found that interesting. I'm like, how do you not, like, I constantly have the tune going in my head. This week it's been the Burger King Whopper song stuck in my head on repeat.
Okay.
For some odd reason. Because they did a mix up of the BK song with a harder, better, faster, stronger. I'll send you a link to it.
Where do you find this shit, John Lynn? Like seriously, like I don't even.
I'm on so many corners of the internet. It's not even funny, Tim.
It would seem so.
Which leads us to our next question.
Heyo.
When people view your art, what do you want them to experience or feel?
You know, selfishly, I think every artist wants people to be in awe of their work. You know, I think everybody deep down has to admit that, right? So you know that natural feeling obviously is part of what I would want people to experience and feel. You know, I think it depends on the model. Airdrop is a great example, because when I took that to you know, different IPMS shows and stuff like that, these older modelers who were veterans would come up and, you know, take a look at it and really like kind of oogle at it, right? Yeah. And that was really awesome, because I could see their fascination in it and equal part like nostalgia, you know, because they saw the military background of that particular piece, but they also were fascinated by the science fiction side of that piece, you know? So it was kind of equal parts for them. And I kind of really loved, you know, sitting back about 20 feet away from it and just watching how people would interact with it, right? And it always got me when the older guys and the older crowd would come up to it. And you know, you would see guys with, you know, their vests on with the, you know, the khaki vest that we all see at IPMS shows with the military patches, you know, or the hats, you know, I don't know exactly what they're called, but the ones with, you know, down the, you know, I don't know, with the, you know, with the patches and everything, or they had pins or something. And it would always intrigue me to watch those guys in particular, because those gentlemen would always have the most, I don't necessarily want to say extreme reactions, but the most impactful reactions. And just sitting back and watching those guys interact with it was really cool. And you know, I would want the awe. I would want the, you know, the impressiveness of it, you know, for people to feel and everything. I think any artist would want that. But I would also want people to be kind of inspired by it. And I would want people to say to themselves, one day I want to do better than this. That's, you know, I would want somebody to say, this drives me. This drives me to be better than what I am. And if all of that comes in equal parts, then I think, I think that's a solid reaction, you know, for me. So.
Oh, that's it's interesting. And I mean, I agree. But it's always interesting to see what people say to this one.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten that. I've gotten, you know, you hear Julio's answers, you hear Kyle's. It's so vast and different. Because then we have artists like Meg Kwai Kaiju, who has gone to school for art.
Yeah.
I think she has her bachelor's in like classical painting or something along that lines. And so it's always just kind of a little bit fascinating to see what's said.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said, with a lot of these questions, it's very individualized. It's very singular. Everybody's got their own take on all aspects in art and hobby. So that's what it really comes down to at the bottom, bottom line, end of the day,
Yeah. Which we get to our next question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite woodworking or power tool?
It's a toss-up. Honestly, it's a tie. Table saw and the router. Those two. Yeah. The table saw is like a universally amazing tool, and once you get a table saw, it changes how you build, much like the chopper, right? Because then you can break down sheet goods, you can cut pieces, to perfect, repeatable widths. You can create a cross-cut sled and cut the same thing time and time again. It does change the way you build, but you got to be serious or semi-serious in that, in that hobby. And then, the router, it can do so much, right? It can flush cut, it can chamfer, it can round over, it can cut in a profile. It can do so freaking much. You can cut in rabbets, you can cut in V-shaped grooves, you can cut in, coves, everything. It's a router is only limited by the variety of bits that you put into it and your imagination of what you can do with it, right? So I love both equally, and I use both equally in terms of whenever I build stuff, like shop furniture and things like that. So yeah, that's a tough question, and those are my two top ones. So yeah.
Well, Kyle said table saw, and unfortunately, I'm not allowed to use my family's table saw.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not allowed to handle most major power tools.
It's dangerous as fuck. I'm not gonna lie.
I am very accident prone.
Yeah, it's dangerous as shit. But if you respect it and know the limitations, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. So
yeah,
that just look on. If you really want to get a laugh, look up kickback videos or table saw kickback videos, and you'll see like pieces of lumber or MDF or whatever come back and hit these guys in the stomach or in the nuts or something like that. Yeah. Oh, some of them are horrific, don't get me wrong, but some of them are funny as shit. So
I remember
Predator.
I remember my dad getting hit by a kickback, and I just laughed.
Oh yeah, no, that's not fun. Luckily, I've never. Yeah, luckily I've never actually been hit by a kickback. I've had it once or twice happen, but I've never been in the way of it, thankfully. So it's scary as shit when that happens, though. I'm not gonna lie, because that you don't understand the power of that tool until you see a kickback. It's scary as shit.
I tend not to use power tools very often just because I'm bad accident prone. I took a welding course in high school and I accidentally lit myself on fire like 3 times.
Wow. Like, I mean, I accidentally lit myself on fire and then you followed it up like 3 times. Like that just, yeah. That's one thing I would actually like to learn is welding though. So
it's fun.
Yeah.
I made my welding teacher mad because I didn't actively pursue welding as a career.
Yeah, well.
I'm a very well and capable welder.
Yeah. That trade is very lucrative if you're good at it. Like that is like the amount that these guys make. Wow. I'm like, shit, I got in the wrong business, He
wanted to apprentice me and I wasn't about the trades.
Yeah.
Because my dad did
It's
HVAC and stuff, and
yeah. It's not for everybody, you know? It's not for everybody, but if you love it, yeah, it's pretty damn awesome.
which leads, speaking of scary experiences with power
Yes.
tools,
Yes.
what's your scariest art or hobby experience?
That's a tough one. You know, scary. Um, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, the scariest moment was so it's kind of adjacent, right? But
Yeah.
it does tie in 2020 when everything, you know, when COVID hit and the world
Mm-hmm.
shut down and everything. I, like many, got temporarily laid off from my job, right?
Yeah.
And not knowing what the hell I was going to do for money, um, I quickly applied for unemployment. And then I'm like, okay, well, this doesn't cover, you know, this is maybe like 1/3 of my paycheck. I'm like, this is gonna really suck for us. And I jumped headfirst into streaming and building and everything like that, and you know, tried to set up monetization and everything, and that did bring in, you know, sorry, it's my my alarm to take out the trash. Um, yeah, I know, but no, that like it did bring in a little bit of money, but not nearly as much as, you know, my paycheck.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I was only laid off for like a month, but I didn't know that in the beginning. I thought I was done. I thought our company was just done, gone. That was it, right?
Yeah.
Um, so when that realization struck, you know, I tried to take inventory of what I'm good at, and at the time, you know, the people that were getting the layoffs first were creatives. You saw that left and right,
Yeah.
and I'm like, shit, nobody's gonna hire me right now. What the fuck am I gonna do, right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna go out here and get a fucking, you know, um, Uber, or, you know, deliver food, you know, because we didn't know shit about the, you know, about COVID at the time. There was no
Yeah.
vaccination. I didn't want to risk getting sick and then getting my family sick at the time. So I'm like, not doing that. I'm not going to work in retail or anything like that because it's the same damn thing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, you know, nobody's gonna hire me for a freaking office job because I don't have any skill sets in that arena. Um, so my only option at the time was to fall back on modeling and try to push that, because obviously everybody was, you know, locked in and um, you know, watching YouTube and streamers and everything. So I was just like, this is what I have now. This is my only option.
Yeah.
And realizing that was extremely extremely scary, to think that, you know, that I had to rely on that, and I had to ramp that up so quickly, and get that, you know, get that going. And that put a huge strain on things. You know, especially, you know, family life. And
Yeah.
you know, unfortunately that was one of the things that led to the divorce. Um but you know, mind you, not the only thing, but one of the things. But you know, I was trying to do right, you know, by my family and trying to, you know, put food on the table. And
Yeah.
it was scary, you know, spending all that time, because I was streaming twice a day, 2 hours a
Oh yeah.
piece, sometimes more. And
Oh yeah.
you know, putting all that together and doing all that, that was really tough. And that, yeah, that prospect of this is my life scared the shit out of me. So um yeah, that was probably the scariest moment in the hobby for me.
That's a tough one too. I mean,
Yeah.
that was was a tough year for everyone.
Yeah, it sucked.
Oh.
We're 3 years on, and we're just now starting to get some semblance of normalcy. So, yeah, it took its toll.
Speaking of experiences.
Yeah.
What's been your most embarrassing hobby experience?
Embarrassing?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've done a lot of embarrassing shit on stream before.
We know, but we're talking hobby wise, Tim.
Yeah, no, I know. And I'm not talking about, getting drunk and passing out on mechanism either. No, hobby wise, like my own streams, my solo streams, I've done a lot of embarrassing shit on there. Like cut a piece wrong or some dumb shit like that or something. Showing my mistakes and all of that. I mean, there's probably too many to list, and they since there's so many, they escape my memory. There's not really one that stands out, honestly. There's a bunch, and I mean, you just got to let it go. You got to let it roll off your shoulder. Not dwell on it. That's an important thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, just go back in my stream. You'll find something embarrassing that I did on pretty much every one. So, but I'm totally fine with it, because if my embarrassing moment went to help somebody learn something or enrich their life, so fucking be it. It's worth it at that point. So, yeah.
Embrace for cringe.
Yeah. And also too, I don't embarrass very easily. I'll usually try and flip it on, the embarrassment and try to make light of it and have fun with it. So, and if somebody's trying to embarrass me, I'll lean into it and try and turn it around and end up embarrassing them. So, yeah, I have fun with it.
It's a fun time.
Oh yeah.
But speaking of more experiences,
yeah.
What's a seminal art experience for you?
Wow. That's a tough one too, because there's so many. I mean, GBWC has got to be right up there, both times. Going there and being in that atmosphere, being in Japan, being in Tokyo, being in, Odaiba and Akihabara, and being in, uh, Gundam Front or Gundam Base, whatever it was called at any specific time, and being around those other champions, it's the atmosphere is thick and you feel it physically. There's not much of a similar feeling that I've ever had to that, because you're around an elite level of talent, and you're a part of that, and you don't necessarily realize it. You don't realize it very quickly. Because I think most people will go and, it's that imposter syndrome, right? You're not sure of yourself, but you're in awe of everybody else, right? But at some point, you have to accept the fact that you earned that spot to be there, and you can hang with the rest of these people, talent-wise. Because if you look at most of the GBWCs, the first and last place, there's not a ton of points differences, right? The first year that I went, I think I missed 5th place by maybe 10, 15 points. And I came in like 7th, which was razor thin. I missed the 6th place entry was 1 point higher than mine. 1. And it was an amazing piece. Yeah, it's pretty impressive to think that, you earned the right to be there amongst all of these other champions. And, to have, the people that, you kind of look up to and stuff like that. And, seeing Kawaguchi there, who you only see, online and shit, like that's an amazing experience. And then to go through the ceremony, they announce your name and they show your work on the big screen. Excuse me. That's a wild feeling. So that's definitely up there. Another one was January 2020, going over to Dubai for the Otaku Emi Modelers Cup. And those guys are so good. It's just everywhere, top to bottom, in that store, that company. The people are amazing. Everybody's friendly. Met James Quinsat, a person that I have admired his work for a very long time, and he's so nice. And like, I wanted to talk to James like for the longest amount of time that I could, right? Because he's, number one, he's so talented, and number two, he's just such a nice guy. Going over there and meeting everybody and being a judge and being in that atmosphere was amazing. And it's the first place that I've ever been asked for an autograph. And it was such a weird feeling. The first person to ask me, I was just like, "Oh, you want my autograph? Really? Me? Like, okay, sure." And I gave the person an autograph. And then, the second person comes up and I'm like, "Really? Are you sure you got the right guy?" And it was a very surrealistic experience, because like 20 people later, it does start to hit you like, holy shit, like they really do want my autograph. Like that's so fucking weird to me. One guy had me autograph his trophy. I'm like, what? Why would you want me to do that? He's like, no, just do it. I'm like, holy shit. And then one guy came from, I believe he came in from Kuwait. And this guy was decked out in head to toe ChildofMecha gear. He had a hat, had a shirt, had a print of my workflow, and he had me autograph that. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
That was a really special experience, meeting everybody, and then, getting that feeling, and that's a selfish thing, getting that feeling of I guess reverence or whatever. It's very selfish. It's very, there's an egotism to it, but it feels good, obviously. But it was surreal, and it was special, right? And then the last one was just after that, in February of 2020. I went to the Old Dominion Open, ODO, in Richmond, Virginia. It was an IPMS event. And took airdrop, and that was like the first IPMS I went to. No, actually, I take that back. It was a second IPMS event that I went to with airdrop. And that was where one of the guys came up to me, and he's just like, he this older veteran modeler, and he just kept pouring praise on it, and I'm like, wow. And he's just like, can I show you some of my work? I'm like, yes, absolutely. And this guy was just fucking amazing. And I was just like, he, seeing his work, he's just like, he poured praise onto mine. And I'm like, wow. And that's also where I met John Bias, who was an Army paratrooper. So his connection to airdrop was very significant. And, he said, hey, this is awesome. This is amazing. This brings me back, to those days jumping out of planes. And it's just amazing, again, praise. And, to have somebody that actually lived that life and went through that experience, to dump praise on some, dumb fucking plastic robot model that I did, it felt really good. So yeah, I mean, those experiences, you never forget. And those do go to shape your outlook on things. And it definitely shapes your hobby as well. So yeah, those were big ones.
I know. I remember going to GranaCon and somebody walk up to me. They're like, "I follow you on Instagram," and I'm like, "Really?"
Right? It's a good feeling, but it's weird too. Yeah.
So weird. Like, I'll get randomly approached in my local hobby store now, and I'm like,
yeah,
cool. I'll be like holding like this whole thing, and I'm like, okay, cool,
right?
thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know who you are, but
they know you. Yeah. It's a wild feeling. It really is.
One last question.
Shoot.
We're on the last one. If you could give me art advice, what would it be? Never stop grinding at what you love to do, even if you're not good at it. Like, if I would have stopped when I was frustrated in the beginning, like what would I be doing now? I sure as shit wouldn't be in this hobby. I'd be doing something different, but and that's the thing. It's just like, so many people get frustrated because they're not producing work as good as someone who's been in this hobby for 20 plus years. Yeah. And that's an unfair comparison because I have a 20 plus year head start, and that will be the same for any sort of endeavor. You got a 20 plus year head start. Yes. Guess what? You're probably going to be better than that person just starting out. So that's why I say, don't stop grinding and don't stop learning and don't stop progressing if it's something that you really love to do. Solid, Tim. What a way to wrap up an interview.
Yeah, it's true.
True, but still a nice outro.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We're done.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. What, 241? Not bad. We didn't hit Kyle's, thankfully, but yeah, still a solid time.
Maybe if I didn't have work in the morning, we would have. Maybe.
Oh, nah. I got work tomorrow too, but it's Friday, so.
Yeah, for Friday before vacation, everybody's on team day at my school.
Oh.
So
okay.
I gotta go follow people around at pep rallies and stuff.
Fun.
But thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been my pleasure.
I love doing these. They're so much fun.
Right? Huh. Sometime soon I'm gonna start my podcast and do these too. So I don't know when that's gonna be, but hopefully soon.
Don't use my questions on why certain podcasts, Julio.
Yeah.
That based an episode around one of my questions, Julio.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right, Timmy.
Oh my. All right, John Lynn.
Thank you again for doing this.
My pleasure.
And I'll talk to you